What's going on, far, far away family? How's everyone doing today? Well, we got one hell of a show because this was an intense episode of Andor. And I don't even know where to start. But before we get to too much, let's get to that intro.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Last we will reveal ourselves.
I have a bad feeling about this.
You are now if you only knew the power of darkness.
Here it comes. Let's go.
You are now tuned in to Lightsaber Radio. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello there.
So, as we venture into this 9th episode of Andor, first I gotta say that I'm probably gonna be running this solo tonight because Garrison, CJ's at work. He's got some work thing that he has to do on Wednesday nights or Wednesday evening now. He's doing out of town stuff. And Garrison got stuck at school. Something happened with his car, so he's not gonna be able to make it. So I'm gonna be doing this solo tonight. And I think that I got some in-depth things that I seen in this episode of Andor that just kind of, it made me want to just like scream. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening. Because there's a lot of stuff going on there's a lot of stuff going on. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, it has some Shawshank Redemption vibes. It has some, it kind of reminded me of George Lucas's first film a little bit, like the outtones and some of the scenes and some of the things that's happening, which was kind of exciting. That was one of the little Easter eggs that I kind of like. Why does this remind me of that little short film that George won his little award at college about? It kind of gave me those vibes. So I don't know if they used any of that or they took some of that ideas from it, but I thought it was pretty cool. So what's going on, Star Wars team leader? Chris is in the chat. Clinton is in the chat. How's everybody doing today? Star Wars team leader says, this Andor opening sounded like the music from Tron. You know, I really didn't pay attention to it. I'm not going to lie about it. I didn't pay attention to it. It was just kind of it was one of those things that, I don't know, I just got really immersed into the action right off the thing. Because it wasn't like, you know, lightsaber battles and blasters and all that stuff, but it starts off just crazy. Like, it just starts off right where it left off last week. And it's kind of, I don't even have the words to describe the way that this episode made me feel. Like, I was angry and I was excited and I was, you know, I just had all these different emotions going on out of the blue. And it was like, you know, because just every little thing. And the way that they were switching scenes and keeping everything coherent was crazy. But there was a lot of little nods back to, you know, A New Hope. There was a lot of little nods to just Star Wars in general. This felt really Star Wars-y to me. Even though there wasn't like a lot of droids or, you know, a lot of, you know, stormtroopers or, you know, lightsabers or blasters or any of that stuff. It just felt real Star Wars-y to me. And I think it was them little nods. Like, you have to give the nod to Bix, how during the interrogation, you know, they had the door slam as she starts to scream, just like the way that they did it in New Hope when Leia was getting interrogated. What's going on, Dion? And it was just, I don't know, it just gave me that Star Wars type of feel. There was a lot of nostalgia that had to do with, you know, like their little nods to Star Wars. And I thought it was very interesting the way that they did it. Tony did a great job at just, like, it just, one scene just portrayed right into another one. You had, you know, some, what's the words to say? You had like some, you know, like the door slamming. It just went right into the next scene. You had when somebody was in distress or somebody was feeling upset about something. When the next scene started, the next people were feeling, you know, Mon Mothma was feeling excited or upset or whatever. And it flowed very well. The pacing on this was excellent. It was just one of those just it was just so well done. As somebody that's done some short films, like I've never done anything, super big. I've done a few short films and just, did some directing and some camera work and stuff. Just to see how well it was put together was, even though it wasn't like, it wasn't nothing that was really big. I mean, you got Mon Mothma, they kind of show what's her face is her cousin, and, that was kind of interesting. And then, their little talk back and forth. But at the same time, then you had Andor and everything that was going on inside the prison. And you had, what was going on with Bix. Everything, like I said, it wasn't really action-packed, but it felt exciting the whole time. Like the whole time, it was just, exciting. It was really, really exciting. And it really drew me into the thing. And the way they immersed everything. Chris says, Star Wars team leader said first, he says, I think it was cool the way they were using the death cries of aliens to torture. That was pretty cool. I like that. I like the way she explained it. Like when she explained it, it was creepy as shit. Like what? You're going to do what? Like, oh man, that just sounds like it sucks. Chris said solid episode overall. Also, I looked up Uncle Harlow, and according to Wikipedia, has a moth. Has a moth on a ship in the Outer Rim. I mean, he has a moth on the ship, or he was a moth on the ship in the Outer Rim. He said they keep alluding to him, so I'm guessing he's going to be a part of the story at some point. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Well, I don't know, man. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of weird. You never know what they're going to do. You really never know what's going to happen next, because they keep throwing ringers at you. Tony's good at that. Like, what's her face is her cousin, like, and she's all asking her, what you been doing? Like, I need you to go be a spoiled rich kid for a while. Like, just that little stuff like that. Just like, what like, when did that, how, y'all are cousins. How are y'all cousins? Just little stuff. It tricks your mind into thinking something different than what your idea of things is. I mean, when we first seen her before the heist and all that, you would never believe that she was anybody else other than just some hired person to do it, or some person for the cause. You would not believe that. Yeah, that's possible. It's definitely possible. But I don't know. They were kind of huggy, and then the daughter was kind of in on it. I think they're really cousins. And then the way she says, go home, go be a little rich, spoiled girl. You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like, I think that they're really cousins. But you would have never thought that when you went back and watched the first episode she was in. You would really think she was just, a rebel that's just trying to push for whatever it is that, the rebels are trying to do at this time, which was the heist on Aldhani. So it gives you like that sense of nostalgia. I don't know. I don't want to say nostalgia, because it's not really nostalgia. I don't know the word to describe it. It just draws you in, though. It just hooks you, and it gets its claws in you, and you're like, I could not stop watching it. Like, I was almost late to work this morning because I was like watching this, and because I woke up late. I ain't gonna lie, I woke up at like way later than I needed to, but I'm watching it, and I have plenty of time, but I'm watching it, and I'm trying to make my lunch for work, and I'm not making my lunch. I'm just literally sitting there watching this episode. Like, I'm supposed to be making lunch. I'm standing in the kitchen. The TV's pointing to the kitchen, and I'm looking at it, and I can't stop. I'm like not even making lunch. I'm just standing there watching the show. Like, what's going on? Like, how is this happening? Like, how is this going? Like, what's going on? And then for the older dude, they just killed him. They didn't even try. Everything that was going on with the second floor, just everything that was going on. I love the way that, what I'm saying, like the lights flickered. So it's like, that's a little key factor. Like, they know that the system can be turned off. It's not like it's all powered or something like that. So it's like Andor's, with his mind, everything's clicking for him. He's like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. How many guards is on there? And he's talking to Cato, and they're going back and forth. And he's like, leave me alone. I don't care. I got this amount of time. But then they're finding out, no, this ain't the amount of time that you got. And other people's time is going up. Now they're shipping people to other floors. They're never going to get out of there. They know that they got to escape. And I think that's what's so exciting about it. I'm like, dude, I'm so excited for the next episode to come out. I'm like, dude, Wednesday, it seems like it's going to be like an eternity to get here because of just all these little bitty key things. And like the way that Bix, you know what I'm saying, all them scenes that had Bix in the way old girl, I can't even remember the ISB agent's name. I don't know why I can't remember her name for some reason. But everything, the way she was explaining using the fishing net, she's casting it out, and she hopes that everything she brings back in is a fish. But she knows there's some of those things that she has to just throw back. It was just really well done. The Star Wars team leader said had Dr. Kevorkian type feel. Yeah, it kind of did. I don't know. It was like, it was Star Wars, but like Silence of the Lamb type feeling. Like, you know, like Silence of the Lamb wasn't really scary, but it just had that intense feeling where you didn't want to stop watching because you wanted to know what was going to happen, what was going to be said. And you think about it, Silence of the Lambs, using that analogy, because most of the time it's old girl and Hannibal sitting in a room, or they're talking between the bars. So it's a lot of just dialogue, but it got you just, you know what I'm saying? It just hooked you in and you couldn't stop watching. Another great movie is Sunset Unlimited, where it got Tommy Lee Jones and Samuel Jackson, and all they're doing is sitting in a room. I kind of got that feel like it was just like, even though there was multiple characters throughout the episode, it was like two people having a real deep discussion about what was going on in their general, you know, in their little part of the story, which was really, it was kind of, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of the times in Star Wars, you had Han and Luke, or Han and Leia, or Luke and Obi-Wan, or Luke and Vader. You know, it was a lot of times it was just two people having dialogue. There wasn't a whole lot of action, but it hooked you anyway because you wanted to know what was going to happen, what was going to be said next. And what's his face, Silas or Silo or whatever the hell his name is, that dude's a creeper. That dude really is. Like, why was he like stalking old girl, Deidre, is that her name? The ISB agent. Why is he stalking her? They're talking about he's in love, or like he didn't necessarily say that, but that's the tone that he put off. Like, I know love, and I know you feel the same. Like, dude, you're a Cyril. That dude is a creeper. That dude, there's something wrong with that guy. There's definitely something wrong with that dude, because that dude is like, he's infatuated with her now. Like, yeah. Star Wars team leader said that made him cringe. It made me cringe too. Like, oh, you creeper, you been watching her, you old creep, man. What's wrong with you? What are you doing? You can't be following me. She's like one of the top ISB agents now, and you're stalking her. Like, she was like, I'll have you locked up on the outer rim in the farthest points of, like, dude, that's it. Dude, that dude's a creep, man. There's something wrong with him. There was just so many wonderful things about this episode. But like I said, there wasn't I don't get it. You guys know me. I've told everybody a million times, anybody listens to other podcasts, they all know, everybody knows that I love action. I love lightsabers, blasters, all that stuff. That's like the most exciting thing in the world to me. But this has been really exciting, and there hasn't been a lot of that. There hasn't been a real lot of actual action. Like, the most action that, like, violent action that I would say was when he punched the dude in the stomach, when Cato, or however you say his name, punched the dude in the stomach. That was like the most real action that there really was that had to do with like craziness and, you know, like somebody fighting or anything like that. That was it. There was nothing else in this whole episode. There was nothing really else that had to do with action. but it still was so intense that it just kept you involved. It kept you infringed, or not infringed, but just kept you just in depth, immersed into this world. I don't know, guys. I am a super Mandalorian fan. The Mandalorian is one of my favorite shows ever created, but this is up there. I really think that this is up there with The Mandalorian in overall. I wish Mandalorian has more of a Star Wars feel. I'm going to give it that. It feels more like Star Wars. It's more of a Star Wars immersed environment. Andor doesn't always feel like Star Wars, but it also feels like, what's the word? I'm having a lack of words. Y'all got to help me out here. It's I don't know. There's times that it feels very Star Wars, and then there's times that it doesn't feel Star Wars. So I'd have to say, if this was a Star Wars, if you told somebody this is Star Wars, and like just let them watch it 1 through 9, I don't think other than they'd be like, "Are you sure? You sure this is Star Wars?" Yes, it's Star Wars. Mandalorian, it's Star Wars. Like, you can tell it's Star Wars. They got Baby Yoda and Jedi and stuff like that. A lot more space travel, a lot more ships. These things are kind of lacking in Andor, the things that kind of give you that Star Wars nostalgia. But at the same time, it's a great show. It really is. Chris says, I feel like Mon Mothma's story, I feel like her story so far has been pretty dull. I don't know if it's dull, but I think it's less informational. Like, we kind of know that she spent money that she wasn't supposed to spend. We kind of know that she's in, I think she's in a little bit over her head. She thinks that she's doing the right thing, but at this time, she doesn't know. She really isn't all the way 100% in yet. And I think whatever happens that she comes into, something's going to happen that's going to like really push her over the edge. And that's when we'll see like Mon Mothma that ends up, running the rebellion, and who we've seen in Rebels. I think that whatever happens is going to come to that point, because you got to remember, if you go back to Rebels, her kid is not with her. Her husband is not with her. At this point, she is a fugitive of the Empire when she gets to this point in Rebels. And I think that's what's leading up to. I think right now she's not 100% in yet. She's like, oh, what are we doing? Because she was kind of asking in this episode, like when she was talking to her cousin, she was like, why are we doing this again? Because we made a commitment to stand up to the Empire. And I don't think she's really there yet. She's kind of having thinking, well, I spent money. What are we going to do? They're going to be looking where this money went to, and I have no way of showing it. And now I got to go talk to this criminal dude to basically he's a job of their planet. He's kind of like the head racketeeringist type guy or whatever. And she's going to have to talk to him to figure out a way to launder the money so they can't figure out where she spent the money at. Like, just little stuff like that is really in depth. It's like really, really shows you how far the Empire is making people go to see that they're not right. Dude, that whole time when she's like up on the, when she's in the Senate chamber, and she's talking and they're just shutting off the lights and they're just ignoring her and shit. I mean, like, dude, like, have you not realized that what you were doing is wasting time? Don't nobody give a shit no more. It seems like all these planets don't give a shit. All these senators don't give a shit. And I think that kind of ties into the way it's been going for a long time. Before all this even happened, and when we go back, if you watch Tales of the Jedi, which we all have, it was kind of like the senators was letting their planets just go to shit. They were just pocketing a bunch of money. They were doing things, and these planets were starting to rebel. And now it's in the same position. They don't give a shit. The Empire's in control of everything. So it's like, why am I listening to you? Turn off, click off, whatever, I'm leaving. And that's kind of, they were doing her like that. And I think as this thing goes, she's going to realize that the Senate is no longer pliable. It doesn't work no more. There's no, like, What is so Palpatine says I'm a whole or Sidious or whatever, however you got to keep the Senate together to control the planets. But then as you go into the thing, once you go down a little bit further on, he abolishes the Senate. So at some point, all the senators know it doesn't matter what we're doing no more. The Senate, the Empire's in control. We're just going to let them be in control, or we're going to fight against it. That's why you got the rebellion. And that's why how you got, what's going on with it right now where people are not paying attention. Because some people are just not going to care. They're just going to sit back and they're just going to let the Empire do what the Empire does. And then there's other people that's going to be like, this is not what we signed up for. And I think a lot of those is going to be the separatist planets. A lot of the separatists in the Clone Wars, I think these planets are the ones that's going to be mostly part of the rebellion anyway. And from what we're seeing, they're already starting to do that. These are the planets that are going to rebel against the Empire. It's like, dude, we signed up to get rid of the Republic, not to get rid of the Republic just to get an Empire. So Star Wars team leader says, I like that they were cutting the power line for the floor in the crapper for the work floor. You think that was, I think he was just trying to get a pipe. I think he was trying to just cut a pipe out so he could, have something to use as a weapon. I didn't think about that. That might be a good idea. If they are cutting the power, then that's definitely a way that they could get out. They got to cut the power because you ain't going to be able to run and they shocking your feet. That ain't going to happen. Chris says, I think that she is trying to work her political ends and trying to make things better, but the way they were ignoring her is how she is going to be pushed more towards being more radical rebel. I mean, that's the way it has to go. That's the kind of sucky thing about when they do like a prequel. When they do a prequel, we already know the outcome. We kind of already know. We know from Rebels. We know from Rogue One. We know the outcome. But what sucks is knowing that. Like, sometimes it's better not to know. Like, I would much rather not know what happened in Rogue One and Rebels and all that and be watching this. This would be way more intense. Because we already know that she's going to, sooner or later, she's going to be like, screw this shit ain't working, and whatever that she decides to do is, I just don't, honestly, I don't like the way that they make her seem timid, and we know that Mon Mothma was not timid. Whatever she did, in Rebels to get to that point, to get to the point where, the Empire put out a bounty on her or whatever, and she needed the rebels to help save her, was definitely something that she spoke out really, really, or she did something, or however she did it. So I think that it just, like I said, it kind of sucks that we know it's going to happen. So to make her seem timid and to make her seem like she's not timid, she's not none of these, but she might have started that way. So that's what's cool about learning. Like, oh man, my Mothma was like, she was outspoken and she tried to do the things the right way, but she was kind of like timid and like, oh, wait a minute, and she's a little bit scared and, how are we going to do this? And I think that's going to lead her into something that's going to be way, way crazier. Star Wars team leader said, yeah, he's cutting the power so they can try to escape. They couldn't electrocute him. Yeah. I mean, I just thought he was trying to get a pole. Like, I need a weapon. Maintenance will have to come and fix it. Switcheroo. They walked out the front door. All right, Lenny, I don't understand what you mean. The Senate, you're not seeing a lot of the aliens. You're seeing mostly humanoids. That's something else that it's kind of crazy about the entire show. But I guess it's, we know that Palpatine doesn't like alien species. We know that. We know he's a alien racist or alienacist. That's what we're going to call him, alienacist. He doesn't like aliens. So I could see why we're not seeing like, as Tony being somebody that's a Star Wars fan, kind of knowing that he doesn't like aliens, eliminate the aliens, and you kind of portray that in the show. You know, you're gonna, because most of the worlds that he conquers, the Empire conquers and turns to slavery, is alien worlds. So we got the Twi'leks, we got the Wookiees, we got let's see who else did the Empire. The Mon Calamarians. They were enslaved. Because he had them in one of the books. I can't remember which book it is, but he has them working in underwater thing. They might be working on Narkina 5 or Narkian 5. They might be underwater building that shit for him. You know, building them the little prison thingies for him. But for all we know, but I know that he enslaved a lot of the alien worlds. So with him enslaving a lot of the alien worlds, us not seeing a lot of aliens like we were seeing before, which I don't know, it's kind of hard because you got to figure every one of the platforms is basically a planet. And that's a lot of platforms. There's a crap ton of those platforms. Star Wars team leader said they were the first ones scheduled to be destroyed by the World Devastator in the books. Yeah. So it's just, it's a lot of stuff going on. And that's the crazy thing. Like, to learn about what's going to happen, even though we know the outcome, it's fun, but at the same time, it kind of sucks, like I said before. It kind of sucks because we know the outcome. I mean, we've known the outcome forever because the original trilogy is basically where this stuff leads up to. All the way, I mean, Andor leads up to Rogue One leads up to the New Hope. So we have, but it's kind of fun to see how it's going on. Because I would never have thought that Mon Mothma was timid and scared like that. Not the way she acts and how confident she is in the things that she does. Remember when in Rebels, when she's talking to Saw Gerrera, she's like, dude, shut up. You know what I'm saying? Just shut up. You don't know what you're talking about. She has very strict about the way that she's coming at things. And when she's in the thing, this is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. She didn't have like that leadership skills when she's like right now, as we're seeing her. So to see her progression as where she's at now to where she's going to be, we're just getting filled in on the in-between stuff. And they're doing it a great job. Tony and them is doing a very good job. Lenny said they would have to send maintenance in when Cassian cut the power line in the crapper. They jump the maintenance people and put on their uniforms and walk out the front door. Hey, that's a good theory. If that's what they do, Lenny, we need to know who your inside guy is. No, I'm joking. That's probably what's going to happen. I was thinking the same thing when I was watching the episode. I just didn't think that he was cutting the power. I thought he was like getting a pole to like whack someone. I thought he was going to whack somebody with a pole. Like cut off that top part, break the pole out. And then when one of the guards comes down on that little thing, and the little elevator thing, whack that dude and then take his stuff and then he could get him all out. That's what I was thinking. Because I don't see Andor just running out by himself. And we seen from the little trailer thing, the new episode or the new they had I guess it's the commercial. I guess it's the actual commercial that comes on TV. I haven't seen it on TV, but that's what somebody said in one of the chats. I think it was on Reddit. But they when they're running down the hallway, none of them's in the gear. So somehow they turn off their power. That's true. That's true. I didn't even think about that. See, that's why I got you guys, because I don't be thinking about all this stuff. Star Wars team leader said, why not just use the spanner at the table? You could do that too. I don't know. I don't know. I just had a feeling he would get a pole for some reason. I don't know. I just had that thought. But see, that's why I got you guys, because you guys tell me these good informational facts, and then I'd be like, oh yeah, I didn't think about it like that. But I don't know why. I mean, even if it was in the bathroom and that was another thing. It's like, dude, you didn't do a very good job putting that panel back on after he was in there cutting it before the little alarm thingies went off. That dude just kind of slapped it back up there. I was like, dude, man, everybody's going to know that panel being removed. Like, it didn't look like that when you came in the bathroom. But that's definitely a good point. If that is the power thing, the Empire is stupid. They're dumb. But my other thing is, like, y'all don't have no other tools over there at that little, you know what I'm saying, at that little tool, at your little station where you're building whatever those things are. You don't have a better tool than a file. It's going to take you 6 years to file through that damn that pipe. I know it's only like some freaking aluminum conduit, or you know, some micro metal conduit, but like, no, it'll take you forever to file through there. You'll be filing until your fucking arm falls off and you still won't be through that shit. That shit looked like he had a nail file. Like, dude, you're going to be doing that shit forever. But I don't know, this show just had it has a lot to offer. I did not like, and everybody that's been listening to us for a while know that I did not think Andor was going to be when they were first talking about coming out with this series, I didn't even want to watch it. I was like, I'll watch it because it's Star Wars, but it's not like my high priority list. And this is turning out to be one of the best shows ever. Why couldn't they do this with all the shows? If they'd have made Kenobi like this, or the Book of Boba Fett like this, oh my God, we'd be still talking about Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett. If they did it this well, if they planned it out this well and like really told the story, this thing has a story and then it has multiple stories within the story. It's just, I'm over here acting like a fangirl and shit about this. I'm just excited. I'm excited if they stick on this type of, and like I said, I think it was Saturday, I said it, you know, they're just throwing stuff up in the air and see what lands in the circle. But if they keep things like what they're doing with Andor, like everything that they come up, you know, I'm pretty sure Ahsoka is going to be more like the Mandalorian. I think Ahsoka is going to be more like the Mandalorian than Obi-Wan Kenobi and Book of Boba Fett, just because of how big Dave Filoni is you know, how he's the creator of Ahsoka. It's not like he created, you know, Obi-Wan Kenobi and, you know, Boba Fett, but he created Ahsoka. So I think that they're going to put a lot into Ahsoka. So I think that that's going to be more like The Mandalorian, more like this, maybe even like a combination of the two. But if they keep on this level of content and they see that Star Wars doesn't necessarily have to be, you know, lightsabers and blasters. You know, it can be a little bit, they don't have to do that. They can tell a story. It doesn't have to be all that action-packed, you know, in your face, just constant action like they kind of did in the Book of Boba Fett. I think that they'll realize that they can do a mixture of the two and make everything. I don't get it. This is what I don't get. I'm going to tell y'all the truth. They came out with a smash hit with The Mandalorian. The Mandalorian has everything. Has suspense, has action. It's not overpowered with action. It's not overpowered with anything. It's just good stories, good flowing thing. Everything works together. You got some action and you got some good story. You got some action and you got some good story. It's all coinciding together. And they don't make shit like that. They either make this more suspenseful, more soap opera-y, you want to know what's going to happen next type stuff, or they make stuff like Book of Boba Fett. They don't make them together. Like, you have the building blocks. You know that The Mandalorian is great. Everybody in the world, like The Mandalorian, everybody loves it. I have not heard one person say, oh, The Mandalorian sucks. Nobody says that. The Mandalorian is good. And it had a little bit of everything. It got some good story because they're trying to figure out what's going on. Well, the first 2 seasons was about finding what's going on with Grogu, finding a Jedi, finding his people. Then this episode's going to be like reforming the Mandalorian way, you know, getting him his right back to be a Mandalorian. So they got story behind it. And then they got the action to go with it. Then you come to Andor. Andor, like, the story is so good, you don't even care that it don't have a lot of action in it. Because the story just has you just immersed. It just immerses you into it. You don't have nothing else. Okay, let's go back to here. Star Wars team leader said it bent it all up. It was at least slid back into place. It didn't even really look slid back into place. I should have took a picture of it and brought it up because it's like it's kind of crooked in there. It's like, what are you talking about? We're talking about the panel inside the bathroom. Yeah, it didn't look right. Disney just wanted to make stuff look great and gorgeous look bad. Yeah, I guess that. Chris, while it's a good show so far, I need a little more action. One action episode every 3 episodes or so isn't quite making a rewatchable show. That's true. But you want to know something? Honestly, like I watched The Mandalorian twice, both seasons, but I haven't wanted to watch it again. And it's one of my favorite Star Wars of all times. It's because, and I think that's because I've seen it once, watched it, of course I watched it on the day that it came out. And then once the whole season was over, I kind of rewatched the whole season. 'Cause I like to binge watch stuff. And you see them little things that you didn't see before. You catch them little no's, the little Easter eggs and stuff they put in there. But then once you know what's going to happen, you kind of don't want to watch it again. I'm not going to say I don't want to watch it again. It's not like a high priority. It's not like going back and watching Revenge of the Sith, where you can watch it. Shit, I watched Revenge of the Sith probably fucking 500 times. I'm probably over-exaggerating because, that would be like most of my life. It's 2 hours. That's 1,000 hours. That's a lot of hours to be watching a movie, and I don't ever have that much time. But just to sit back and watch it over and over and over again, like I can watch Revenge of the Sith, and I always catch new things that I didn't catch before. Like every time I watch it, I've noticed something. I might have forgot that I noticed it, but then I always notice something that I've seen. And I think you're right in that it just doesn't seem like, it doesn't give you that, I want to go watch it again. Like, because I'm like, today, I watched Andor this morning, and then when I got off of work today, I came home and I watched it again. I don't really have a drive to watch it a third time. Like, I know what happens in the episode. I don't want to go see it again. But I definitely will want to binge watch the whole thing when it's over. I don't know what it is about binge watching. When you can just watch all, there's 12 episodes. You can just watch all of them at one time. Just sit down for a day and just immerse yourself in any of Star Wars. It gives you a different feeling because then the story is just coherent. You don't have that weekly break between the story where you don't forgot a little bit about what happened last week. Because nobody's perfect. Nobody's memory is 100%. You're going to remember every little thing. So when you jump back or when you have to wait a week, it kind of gives you that, like, okay, wait, what? Okay, now I remember it. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And especially in such a story-driven episode. Another great thing about it, like, I didn't notice the Tron thing at the beginning. I didn't really notice it. It might have been, Tron feeling, but I just don't like that they have a damn different song or a different theme song for every episode. Like, why would you do that? That don't make no sense. But the overall, like, the Foley was, oh my God. Like, that is something that I did pay attention to the second episode. Like, the Foley of the sound, like when they're using the tools in the tool shed, when Mon Mothma sets down her cub, when, all these little different things, when Bix is, when they're doing the things and the dude's like putting the thing in the chamber, all the sounds were just so perfect. They were almost completely and utterly just perfect. That was really, really, really exciting. I notice all these little things. I think I pay more attention sometimes to these little things than I do the actual stories because they make things so interesting. Like I said, the way that they moved into each, like you got somebody in distress and then it moves into the next thing and it's somebody in distress. Or, just little things like that. Or the door shutting and then another door is opening. When they move the scenes like that, it excites me. Lenny said, I imagine once the season is over, feeling like watching the whole thing through definitely gives me more depth. And I know that I am definitely going back and binging the whole thing together. Yeah, I probably will too. I'm already thought about watching the whole episode again. Clint says, straight to Rogue One. Yep, I think that would be a good idea. Just watch the whole episode. Well, I don't know, because you know that there's already episode 2, so it's not going to lead you right. Season 1 is not going to lead you, Clinton, right into episode 2. Or, I mean, into Rogue One. It's going to lead up to a certain point, and then they already have a season 2 done. Season 2 is going to lead you all the way up to Rogue One. Because they're only doing 2 seasons of this. Tony's already said that there's only going to be 2 seasons of Andor. Unless they make some drastic changes. Because season 2 is supposed to lead us right up to Rogue One. I don't know. There's a lot of exciting things going on right now. We got a lot of Star Wars. I mean, even looking back at, even Tales of the Jedi kind of coincides. Like I said, all these senators for all this time, for years and years and years have kind of just been milking their planets, making their pockets fat, making a lot of money off of this stuff. All the way back when the Jedi, I mean, Dooku, that's one of the reasons he went to Palpatine's side, because he got tired of seeing it, and he felt that the Jedi were only serving the Senate and they weren't serving the people of the Republic anymore. They were just serving the Senate, and that's why he was so easily manipulated by Count Dooku. I mean, by not Count Dooku. He is Count Dooku, but manipulated by Sidious to become a Jedi. I mean, to become a Sith, Jedi Sith. Well, I'm over here talking crazy now. For him to easily be manipulated into becoming a Jedi. Damn, I said it again. Becoming a Sith. Becoming a Sith Lord. Because of the things that he's seen that was going on. And that's all, Sidious did. See how they do? The Jedi don't care about the people. They care about the Senate. They go against their own mantra. And it was easy for them to manipulate him. Or it was easy for Sidious to manipulate him. And then next thing you know, he is a Dark Lord of the Sith. And then the next thing you know, he's dead. And Sidious is the new empire that's controlling the entire galaxy. It's literally that simple how they can get to, go into that, to manipulate somebody's opinion of thing. And I think the rebels do the same thing. I think the rebels come in and they manipulate people, which is a good manipulation, because they start showing the Empire is not right. Because look how many people is manipulated by the Empire and the Empire's power. That's really, really, a lot of people, it's like, oh, it's not power, it's not control, it's safety and security. And it's not safety and security, it is control. You're being controlled. They're telling you what you can and cannot do. They're not, you might think this is protection, but it's not. It's control. They're controlling you. And I think that's where the rebels are, pushed into a situation of, we understand and we see this. So it's like one person trying to say the glass is half full, and the other person saying, no, it's half empty. It's the same thing. It's just different ways of looking at it. And by looking at it that different way is when you come into a situation where you say, okay, this is wrong, or this is how I want things. And that's even after that's even after the Death Star gets blown up and they blew up Alderaan. People were still sitting back like, no, and they were fighting for the Empire. Still, the Emperor's dead. Death Star gone. And they're still fighting for the Empire because of their beliefs. They believe this is the best thing. Star Wars Team Leader said, oh boy, changed his thoughts on escaping when he found out they fried the whole level because they found out that they were getting out and just getting transferred into a different level. That was some scary shit. Could you imagine? You done did, how 5 years in the joint. You've been locked up for 5 years. You find out you're about to get out, and then they're not going to let you out. They're going to put you back in, and they just move you to another pod. Dude, that's some scary shit. That really is. That is some scary shit. Basically, you're a prisoner till you're dead. And even the doctor says that. You know, he was like, dude, he's better than we are. We're never getting out of here. And I think he knows that. He's like, dude, at that point, he knows that. But I also think that in the next episode, he's going to go into his little room, their little cells, and his number is going to be different. It's going to go up. Just like them other people, you know, saying their numbers are just going up. Because now the Empire's really got to think about this. We moved this dude from here to here, and he was like, dude, I was just in this other pod, and then the whole pod went out and they had to fry them all. They losing workers that way. So it's a better thing to do to just give people more time and say, oh, you know, we reviewed your thing, blah, 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 you got this. But I think he's going to be a major factor in getting out. I think he's going to give my personal opinion, I think he's going to end up killing himself. Or getting killed by like a guard or something like that. He's going to put himself in harm's way to save the rest of the guys that's on that floor because he feels like he's in charge of that floor. He's like that father type figure. Tell y'all what to do. Y'all get it done. Oh shit, they kind of screwed us all. So somebody got to stay behind. I'm going to be the one to do it because I feel like I owe y'all. I feel responsible for you. I feel that's how keto is going to be. Leonard says, do you think Yoda might have been manipulated by Palpatine to be present in the Senate all the time to keep an eye on the Jedi Order? So by the time Episode 3 comes out and he is having trouble seeing. You know what? There's a lot of contradictory things when it comes to Yoda and what was going on. We know that the Jedi were manipulated by, all the Jedi were manipulated by Palpatine. We know they were. They were sitting in the room with him, and he's like, oh, my friends, fellow Jedis, and they didn't even know he was a Sith until the very end. But I think if you look back at Clone Wars, I think it was revealed to Yoda when he went on his little thing, when he talked to Bane, when he went to them flying, whatever they were, and he fought himself, his dark side self, and did all that. I think he knew who Palpatine was. I think he knew that the Sith, that he was the Dark Lord of the Sith. But I also think that he knew that it wasn't his place. I don't know, because he wouldn't fight Sidious. So it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say. I think that he might have thought that, I think he might have known, or he might have thought that Palpatine might be Sidious or might be the Dark Lord, but he just didn't know, and he knew that. I think the Force showed him that there wasn't nothing he could really do to change what was going to happen. I think it was going to happen regardless, and I think at one point that Yoda knew that it was about balancing the Force. It was no longer about, you know, good versus evil. It was about balancing the Force out. You have thousands of Jedis and there's no dark side users. Once it was done, you had, you know, and I'm pretty sure there was some other dark Jedis and stuff that was out in the galaxy. And then you had the Jedi that had escaped. But if you really think down to it, you had Yoda and Obi-Wan, the way that it was played out in the movies before all this other stuff came up and, you know, different things came out. You had Yoda, you had Obi-Wan, you had Darth Sidious, and you had Darth Vader. Complete balance. And I think Yoda knew that that's how it had to be in order for I think it was kind of like the Force telling Yoda that it had to reset. I think that's what the prophecy was about. The prophecy was not about Anakin coming to save the Jedi from the Sith. I think it was to come and balance the Force out. So now you don't have thousands of Jedi. So I think that's what it really was about. I don't think that there was this big. I think Yoda, and this is just my personal thought. I think Yoda knew. I think Yoda knew that Palpatine was Sidious. I think he knew before it ever really got to that point. I think because there's a one of the Clone Wars episodes. He's standing by the tree. That tree that's in the Jedi temple, and he's thinking, and everybody's talking and to him and stuff, and he's like sitting there, and he's like, I think it's in the episode of the Wheels, the one that Lenny is talking about. I think he's sitting there, and I think he realizes that all these people are going to die. Everything's going to change, and there's nothing that he can really do about it. He just has to let things play out. I think that's one of the reasons that he survived too, because he kind of knew the outcome. He knew it wasn't his time to go into the Force. He needed to be there to teach Luke. And I think with knowing all that, it was very hard for him, but Yoda's one of the people that can admit his mistakes, and he knew that the Jedi messed up. They knew that they took their power and their strengths and their abilities. And I'm not talking about Force ability. I'm just talking about, their abilities and stuff within the power that they played in the galaxy, and they took it for granted. They got overconfident, and it led them to a very dark place where they were serving the Senate. I mean, if you go back and we've been studying Brotherhood and on the other podcast, we've been going over that. And one of the things that gives me is there's a girl named Mil Alabath in the book Brotherhood, and she asked, "Why are we leading? We're not soldiers. Why are we leading the clone army?" And she asked Anakin this, and he's like, I never really thought about that. Because they're not supposed to be doing that. Was one of the manipulations and one of the ways that Palpatine used what was going on in the galaxy that he created in order to manipulate the Jedi. Because now he spread them thin. And now he got them surrounded by all these people that are just ready for Order 66. They're just waiting for this order. As soon as this order's, they're not waiting because they don't know, but as soon as he activates Order 66, as soon as he says it, they're going to turn and kill these Jedi. Now you got thousands of clone troopers against 1 or 2 Jedi. Well, these 1 or 2 Jedi, I don't give a shit how good you are, you're going to die. You can't block all them bolts. I mean, unless you're, Ahsoka or maybe Mace, but, they got took out in other ways. Or they didn't even get took out, Ahsoka, she just happened to be super dope, and then Rex helped her escape. And, they helped each other. But it was all set up Palpatine set all this up, so he manipulated everybody. He manipulated every little thing that had to do. That's why Palpatine might not have been the strongest Sith overall power. There's been Sith way stronger than him in power. But his power of manipulation is unmatched. There's nobody else, no other Sith that could ever manipulate the way that he did. He made everybody else do the work for him. He didn't even have to do anything. He's like the presidents. You know what I'm saying? Like literally, that's what, that dude manipulates everybody. He manipulated everybody to get him right to where he needed to be, and he didn't ever have to raise a finger. Only time he did anything, he fought Mace, and then he fought Yoda. That was it. He didn't do anything else. He just manipulated and moved pieces. It was like a giant game of chess for him. He just moved this piece over here, and he was playing both sides. Imagine how easy it would be to win when you are playing chess, but you're the black and the white side. You're the light and the dark side. Because that's all he did. He literally manipulated everybody and just moved. No, I need you to move over here. It'll be better for you to move to this spot. Trust me. I need you to move to this spot. Trust me. It'll be better. Oh, I don't understand why you're dead. You're dead. Because he moved this piece right here. He's a master of manipulation. Can't no Sith say that he is not That's what made him one of the best. Like when people said back, the most powerful Sith ever. Nah, that's bullshit. He wasn't even close to being the most powerful Sith ever. But in Force abilities, he wasn't even close. But his power and manipulation, and I mean, he might have learned this from Plagueis. He might have learned this just because every Sith from Bane all the way to Plagueis learn how to hide and manipulate and connive and do everything they can to, and you got to understand, this has all been set up. Palpatine was just the one that kind of finished it off, but this had all been setting up for years and years and years and years, from Bane all the way up. Bane started manipulating the situation, and then it just progressed, and Bane did it, and then Xana did it, and then Cognis did it, and it went all the way up to Palpatine, and then Palpatine finished it, and he set up everything perfectly, because we don't know actually how much of this was actually set up by Plagueis, because they haven't really went into Plagueis that much, so we don't know what was set up by Plagueis, and Palpatine just went in and at the end and just took care of it. You got to understand, Plagueis was still alive when Dooku and them, let's see, was he still alive? I don't know, I'm gonna have to check timeline on that. I don't want to say something that's not true. I have checked online, but I'm pretty sure that Plagueis was still alive during the time of Phantom Menace, like at the beginning of Phantom Menace. Or it might have been right before Phantom Menace. Because if I remember back on some of the books, which we know the books ain't canon, so we can't really tell. We'll have to wait till see how canon tells the story. But if they ever go back to tell that part of the story. But Plagueis was still alive, like right around in that era. You know what I'm saying? Right before Phantom Menace, or even maybe right after Phantom Menace, the beginning of Phantom Menace. Somewhere right in there is when Sidious kills Plagueis. So did Plagueis set up the clones? Did Plagueis, set up these certain things? Did Plagueis... What parts did Plagueis play in this? We know from the book he played a lot of parts in it, but then he kind of got... And then you got to look at it, too. He got all off into fucking living forever and trying to figure out how to live forever, that he might not have been paying too much attention to what was going on. And Sidious might have been doing it from back when he was still a Padawan. So it's crazy, but I think all of this is just spectacular. Yeah, it'd have to be because, he did have them all. And Plagueis still followed the old rules. Something that Palpatine, and I think Palpatine was also smart in that. He was like, dude, I'm going to have me a backup apprentice just in case you get killed. I'm going to already be working on my next apprentice just in case you get killed. Because he was already working on, if you look at Tales of the Jedi, he was already working on Dooku as being his new apprentice before Maul even died. So, and then from, he was already working on Anakin to be his apprentice before Dooku died. So Palpatine was smart about that. And I don't think Palpatine had any idea in dying. I think and that's kind of what makes 9, The Rise of Skywalker makes sense. Palpatine wasn't trying to die. He was not trying to die. He was trying to live forever. I think that's one of the things that even if you go back to as far as Bane, who created the rule of 2, they all had this idea of living forever. Bane has essence transfer. Like, I'll just transfer my essence into this next person. My spirit into this next person. Every single Sith does not want to give up their power once. That is something that, even though the rule of 2 has always been about the apprentice killing the master in order because they're stronger. So the Sith just get stronger each time. But they all tried to live forever. Every single one of them didn't ever think their apprentice was good enough, and they tried to live forever, all the way up to Plagueis. Then Palpatine tried it. The only people that didn't like was the apprentice, because, Maul got killed, Dooku got killed, Anakin got killed. Or Anakin killed himself when he threw Palpatine off the thing. That's the only thing that tricks me, okay? And that's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. And y'all, just humor me for a minute. If Vader's life support system in his suit was hooked up to Palpatine's heart, and when he threw Palpatine off the edge, he died. If that was a clone, the clone would not have the thing in his heart that if he died, that Vader would automatically die. The only thing Vader was missing was a hand. And he died. He died because he was hooked up to Palpatine. Palpatine's heart was hooked up to Vader's life support system in his suit. At least that's what some of the comics and some of the books say. So, if he killed a clone, the clone ain't going to have that thing in his heart. So then Vader shouldn't have died. Anakin shouldn't have died. So that had to be the real Palpatine that died. So was the Palpatine that was in 9, was that the clone of Palpatine? Just a thought. Just a thought. Something to throw out there to let y'all think about for a minute. Because I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Like, okay, wait a minute. Everybody says that Vader killed the clone, but the clone wouldn't have had the chip in his heart that would have caused Vader to die. Well, Star Wars team leader says, but why would we think Palpatine would die if throwing him down there, Luke survived falling in Cloud City? Well, 2 reasons. One, that blue light that came out when he threw him down there was kind of an explosion. And then they blew up the Death Star. Like, I'm pretty sure he didn't have time to get out. I mean, he might have. I mean, we don't know. They haven't really ever explained that. But, you know, that blue light thing come up. Which actually, if you think about that, that blue whatever, that radiation or whatever was coming up that damn hole when it hit Vader, that could have killed him too. Who knows? Shit. That's one of them things that we'll probably never know, just like we'll never know where Yoda came from. But I do think that we're going to get the story of Yoda and Yaddle banging to have baby Yoda, to have Grogu. I think we're going to get that story. I think that story is going to be told in one of the books or in a Tales of the Jedi or something. What if Dave Filoni just goes against George Lucas and just in Tales of a Jedi, tells about where Yoda came from? Because, you know, it's like an unwritten rule that George had that you are not allowed to tell where Yoda came from. What if Dave just said, screw it, George, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to tell the story just because you don't have nothing to do with this no more. Or somebody does. Somebody from Disney decides to do a movie. What if that's the new movie? Like the Yoda movie. Would y'all think y'all would like to see that? Would y'all like to see Yoda's origin story? I don't think I want to know. So it uses essence transfer. See, they don't want to die. So Lenny says in the Dark Empire books, it's explained that Palps does die, but he transfers into a clone body. That was what was on the Death Star, and he was able to escape in his clone body. Makes sense. I do agree with that, Chris. I would love to see that. Chris says, nah, they need to do something new. They need to do the Old Republic, which is not really new. That would be old because it's the Old Republic. No, I'm just playing. It would be new, but it'd be new in a different way. I would love to see Old Republic stuff. Tell the story of Bane. Tell the story of Cognis. Cognis was dope. Man, Cognis, imagine being a Jedi and you can't use the Force against her. Like, that would suck to go up against a Dark Lord of the Sith. I think the only reason that they don't do them stories, which it might be a good idea, like Revan is really action-packed. But if they did, like, Bane would be an action-packed. But everybody after that, you got to understand that Sith haven't been around. Revan. But the Sith haven't been around. So what kind of stories are you going to tell? You know, they got to stay hidden. So it's like, I mean, it would all have to be like Jedi stuff, which the Jedi, for what was thousands of years, that after they thought that the Sith was gone, or what was it, 1,000 years? Was it 1,000 years? Let's see, Bane was in what, 1019, 1024, whatever it was. So that's before the Battle of Yavin. It's counting down because the Battle of Yavin is 0. Or it's before the Battle of Yavin and then after the Battle of Yavin. Or Yavin, or however you want to say it. So, if they did like the stuff like the other Sith Lords after Bane, I just don't see it being... It's going to be more like what Andor is. It's going to be more story-driven, and it's not going to be a lot of action because they don't have to do a lot of action. They're hiding. But the Jedi part of that would be cool. Because the Jedi were still dealing with stuff that was going on, and that's when they were actually doing stuff that had to do with, helping the Republic. They was going out doing peace treaties and, having to help, worlds that were battling one another, have talks with each other, and then, of course they were going through stuff. They showed in Tales of the Jedi. Hey, there's something about Tales of the Jedi that I noticed because I was watching it again today. I done watched it like 6 times. It's dope. But on the episode with Mace and Dooku, when Dooku does that flip over and then he cuts that tree down and it falls on them droids, that was dope. Dooku was pretty dope. Like, I have to give it to Dooku. I mean, he was pretty dope. I don't think he was dope enough to whoop a 500-year-old Jedi, Yaddle, but, he was pretty dope. They need to bring Yasha Mir in. Yasha Mir in. That's what Star Wars team leader said. Okay, my brain ain't working. Who is that? Yasal Lamari. Am I even saying that right? Ysalamiri. I don't know. I don't know how to say it. But who is that? My brain ain't working. Who is that? Wasn't Darth Maul given to Palpatine when he was young? I think that would be a good story to tell. Young Palpatine would be a good story to tell. I would like to learn about young Palpatine. I would like to learn about Plagueis. Plagueis would be a great story to tell. Plagueis was old. And that dude didn't sleep for like some outrageous number of time. I can't remember how long it was. It was a great... It's been a while since I read the book, so I can't remember what it was. But I think it was like somewhere like 400 years or something like that. Some crazy shit like that. 100 years, 40 years, something. It was something stupid. Like, dude... No, they were the... Okay, Star Wars saying they were the iguana-like things that pushed the Force away. Yeah, 1,000 years, Clint says, for Plagueis not sleeping. I know it was a long time. It was crazy. Like, dude, you didn't sleep for all that time? Like, I know the Force is dope, but Jesus, like, let the Force sustain you where you don't need no sleep for all that time? The iguana people... I don't know. Let's look it up right quick. How old was Plagueis? What the hell? Okay, that's not what I was looking up, but okay, darn. What the hell? That can't be right. That can't be right. Where's Wikipedia or Wikipedia? All right, so Darth Plagueis. What? Stupid thing, get out the way. He died in 32 BY. When was he born? Early life. Sith apprentice was known, but the Dark Lord chose Chief Palpatine. Okay, what the hell? You don't even... That's not telling us what we want to know. We don't... National Medical Oriented Content. This is not telling me what I want to know. Let's see here. He was a mune male, Dark Lord of the Sith Master of Darth Sidious, Plagueis, lusted for immortality, believe me. He created Wikipedia, crazy. Why is it not telling? It doesn't show when he's born. Somebody needs to update this. It's not showing when he was born. Why is it not showing when he was born? Anyway, he was old. Darth Plagueis does kills him, gets him drunk and kills him in his sleep. It does say that. Anyway, he was old. Oh, Thrawn used them. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I know who you're talking about. It was in the original Thrawn trilogy, right? Star Wars team leader. Yeah, I remember that now. Was it in the original Thrawn trilogy or was it in the Syndices? Was it in the last book of Ascendancy? No, because in the last book of Ascendancy, he's still part of... That's when he comes to the thing. So it had to be in... Was it Here to the Empire? I think it was in. I can't remember. All right. Well, I think we talked about... Oh, yeah, shit, we done talked about a whole bunch of different stuff today. Let's get to... Let's get to some news, because I think there was a few news things that I showed that I came up with. Star Wars is back in Fortnite with a Luke, Leia, and Han Solo and lightsabers. So I guess there's some new Star Wars skins going on. Everything I got today, I ain't gonna lie, is game stuff. Just because I don't like games, and I figured that other people did, so I was not being selfish. But there is some Star Wars stuff back in, some new skins and stuff back in Fortnite. Then EA is to launch a major game before April. And people think it is going to be Star Wars Jedi Survivor. This was actually, let's see, what was it? EA Final Financial Report published a disclosure that says they are planning to release a major game in the next few months, but hasn't actually confirmed what it is. A lot of people are speculating that it is going to be, there's been a lot of rumors going around, and I guess there was some inside guy from EA said that it had to do with Star Wars. So I'm thinking it's going to be Jedi Survivor, which would be cool. It's been, like, I don't know, it's just, my only thing is that, you know, you guys know my stuff on the games. It just, until I see it, it's not existent, because they keep on saying stuff about Star Wars games coming out and then they don't ever release them. And it's like, all right, you guys are just full of crap. Star Wars game bundles are super cheap for PC from GameStop. I guess they're having a big birthday bash sale for the Star Wars collection games. It's 14 games for $22 and mostly focused on adventures games starring Jedi Knights. This was on, what is this? This was on GameStop.com. This was released on there, and it came out today at 12:36 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. That this article was released. So they're doing Star Wars Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, Star Wars Dark Force 2, Jedi Academy, Mystery of the Sith, Republic Commanders, Starfighter, Republic Heroes, The Force Unleashed, Unlimited Sith Edition, The Force Unleashed 2, Battlefront 2, Knights of the Old Republic. I don't know why they have Knights of the Old Republic on here twice, and then Empire of War. And then they have X-Wing Special Edition, TIE Fighter Special Edition, X-Wing Alliance, X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, Balance of Power, Rebellion, Galactic Battleground, Saga, Rebel Assault 1 and 2, and Rogue Squadron 3D. And then Jedi Knight 2, Jedi Outcast, Dark Force, Jedi Knight Dark Force 2, Jedi Knight, Jedi Academy, and Jedi Knight Mysteries of the Sith. So them are the bundles that you can get. And they say that they're going for $22. 14 games for $22. That thing. But it doesn't say, I was looking on here earlier, but it doesn't say what day this is happening. Like, what is it, just one day, or it doesn't really say. Discounted by 78%, so that's a whole bunch of Star Wars for a great deal. Just remember, Republic credits are no good when it comes to paying these bargains. But it doesn't say when what day this is happening. It just says the birthday bash sale. But what day? Anyway, I thought it was something that you guys might not like to know about. I'm not into the games. I can't play it. Well, it's not that I'm not going to say I've never played no video games. I just don't have time. Star Wars team leader said they just got a new figure of Andor's mom droid. Looks good. Yeah, that's the what's it B2MO or whatever his name is. The little red droid that the dog pisses on in the first episode. Or that whatever that thing was. What are them things? They kind of look like a cross between a dog and a boar. Like, what the hell is that? Like, that's some crazy. I wonder if that's the same dogs that, because they kind of look like the same dogs that's in Book of Boba Fett that the Sand people had. That's what they kind of look like a cross between a dog and a boar. B2EMO. And then Clint also says 115 years is what he found for Plagueis. Plagueis had to be older than that. 100. How old did Mune live to be? Because that doesn't seem like that old. Because, Yoda lived to be 900 years old. Mune is an alien species. You would think they would live longer than, like, normal humans. And then he had, like, the Force. Like, I remember that he was... I could have swore he was older than that. What does it say? Dark side of the Force and other vessels, they would succeed and acquire the ability to harness the full power of the dark side and live for 10,000 years. I don't know. I know the Emperor lived to be a long time. He was like 10,000 years or 1,000 years old or something like that. The Emperor that Revan tried to kill, that didn't work out too well. But that dude sucked in all the Force off of an entire planet. I don't know. There's a lot of, and that's the thing. When you start referencing Legends stuff, and right now, which is crazy because they still consider Plagueis a Legends character. So, looking on oh no, I guess this is canon. Let's see what Legends say. Legends might say. So, Legend says he was born between 147 and 120 BBY, and he died at 32 BBY. So that would make him, so if he was 100, just say if he was born in 147, so he was like, yeah, about 115, 110, something like that. I don't know, I thought he was older than that. I don't know why I was under the impression he was older. The way the story, like, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to Plagueis again. Like I said, it's been so long since I listened to it, I can't remember shit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think the B2EMO really got the press that, you know, like Chopper and R2D2 and K2SO and like or C3PO. They got like way more press. Like, you don't see nobody like, oh, I'm gonna go out. I'm getting the new B2EMO droid. You don't hear that. You know, you don't see that on social media like they do with the other droids. I think that they thought he was going to get more press than he did. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Tell Disney to put it in the shows, they'll just rewrite it anyway. Yeah. Oh, that was another thing that I seen earlier. It was like 10 ways that that Disney has contradicted. Let me see if I can find it right quick. There was like 10 ways that let's see, where is it at? 10 ways that Disney has contradicted canon. Let me see if I can find it. I was kind of reading through and I was like, yep. 10 times Star Wars, 10 times canon contradicts itself. Okay, maybe that's what it was. Tells it a Jedi. Okay, location of Yoda's lightsaber has been changed in Star Wars over the course of several years. Leia's relationship with Obi-Wan Kenobi changed in Star Wars. Star Wars writers keeps changing Kanan Jarrus's involvement in Order 66. Palpatine returns. Poe Dameron's origin story is changed. Leia being able to remember Padme. Han Solo's lucky dice, like what really actually happened to him. The reason why Luke was on Octo changed Star Wars. Anakin has fought Count Dooku multiple times in Star Wars. Star Wars writers have changed Cassian Andor's upbringing. So that's 10 things that they've changed, that the writers have changed from canon. At least that's what they say in this article. Which I don't know if I'd agree with all of those. But, like, definitely, and they didn't even put in there that they, like, and I get where a lot of people are coming from. Dave Filoni has the right to change whatever he wants. Because he's Dave. He wrote the shit in the first place. If he wants to say that's not what was meant, or if that's not what, because there's a lot of contradictory stuff being said online about the Yaddle situation. And it was a ploy to make, I guess in the Clone Wars, when they were talking about it in the Clone Wars about Yaddle's death, it was to confuse Count Dooku. This is what I guess Dave said. I don't know. I didn't read the article. There was just some shit on Reddit about it. And I was like, what? Like, I don't know. So I'm not going to get into it. If Dave wants to change the shit, Dave can change it. He wrote the shit in the first place. But it was basically to make Dooku think that Yaddle was still alive. And I'm like, dude, that's not what I remember hearing or watching. But, also my memory is shit. So that's what happens when you get MS. That's like one of the first things that starts going to crap because I can't remember shit. Like, I used to be able to remember like timelines and everything so damn good, and now I can't remember the shit no more. I'm like, what the hell? Is that right? Like, oh shit. So I'll be having to do a lot more double checking on myself sometimes. But I think that's it for today. I mean, I don't know. You guys got anything else that you want to talk about? George used to change stuff all the time too. Yeah, he just changed shit. Who cares? Like, I mean, anybody that comes into this idea that things are perfect, like nothing is perfect. There's no such thing as perfection in this world, galaxy, wherever you look. Ain't nothing perfect. George changed shit. George changed names. George did things. I mean, George went back. We all seen it. Everybody that watched the original trilogy first time seen Han shoot Guido first, and then George went back and changed it. So if George wants to go back and change it, and Dave and John and everybody, if they're the creators. If they want to go back and change shit, they can always go back and change shit. They can say whatever they want to say. They're the storytellers. They in control. We're not in control. We just bitch about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it gives us something to talk about, though. And it could be that. Have you guys ever thought about the reason that they do shit is just to get us in an uproar? Just to keep us interested? What if everything was just freaking perfect in Star Wars? Do you think you would be as interested in Star Wars as if it is the way it is now? Do you think we'd have the things to talk about if everything was just perfection? I don't think we would have the things to talk about, because if you don't ever have nothing to bitch about, then it ain't as much fun. We got to have stuff to bitch about. Star Wars team leader said they can change everything, but what I remember will always be canon in my head. Yeah, I agree with you on that. Yeah. Or the documentaries of making Star Wars, of the making of the Star Wars, Lenny said. There's all kind of different stuff, and that's one thing, Star Wars is fun. That's what makes it a community. It's because it's fun. Even when, like, I've been in arguments with many Star Wars fans, and sometimes I've been proven wrong, and sometimes I was right. It's okay to have an argument. It's okay to have a disagreement. The fact that it doesn't change the fact that we're all Star Wars fans. It doesn't. Sometimes them arguments is fun. They're necessary. So, just like everything else in the world, you got to have people that are on different sides of the fence, or then we're all just the same, and it would suck because we would all be exactly the same. Different personalities is what makes us good. What makes us individuals. And that's, Star Wars is about a lot of individual, and a lot of times you got to think about it like this. It's somebody's perspective of something. How they perceived it. A writer writes, they might watch all the movies, watch all the Clone Wars and everything, and then write a story based on their perspective of how they feel Star Wars is. It might not be, canon or legends or whatever. It just might be their perspective. And their perspective is different than everybody else's. It's because it's theirs. It's not supposed to be the same as everybody else. If it's the same as everybody else, then we're all robots, and it would just suck. It's just, regardless of when you look at Star Wars is Star Wars. I don't give a shit if it's canon, legends, whatever. It don't make a difference to me. Does it take me out of the mundane world that we live in? And for that hour this morning I was watching Andor, I was immersed into a Star Wars universe. I didn't give a shit about what was going on. I was sitting there, I completely forgot that I was making my lunch because I was watching this. Like, dude, what's going to happen next? Oh, man, oh, shit, they better get the hell out of there. They just moved the dude down to 2. Why does the light flickering on and off? Dude, that's really Mon Mothma's cousin? Oh, my God, I thought she was just some rebel chick. I didn't even know she was important. Like, you know what I'm saying? That's how I felt this morning. And that's what I want. That escape. That 1 hour escape. Once a week. Away from everything else in the world. I ain't got to worry about my kids. Which I'm about to be a grandfather. My daughter is like I don't know if she's in labor at the moment, but she's got all the stuff going through, my youngest daughter. So I'm about to be a grandparent again. This will be grandchild number 3. Just want to throw that in there. So shout out, baby. Kiara, I love you. And if you have my grandson, sucks. I'm sorry that dad's not there, but you live in 4 states away. Kind of sucks, but but I didn't even think about that. I wasn't thinking about nothing. I wasn't thinking about my kids. I wasn't thinking about my grandkids, my wife, nothing. I was immersed in Star Wars. And that's what I want to be. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Everybody saying congratulations. Yep, I got 3 grandsons. And my oldest son is about to have my granddaughter in April. So I'm going to have 4 grandkids. Yeah, I'm super excited. And I'm about to have my first granddaughter, which is really exciting. But, it gives us that ability, just that hour. Or I'll throw on a movie for 2 hours. I don't give a shit about what's going on in this world. I don't give a shit about politics. I don't give a shit about inflation and gas prices. Only thing I care about is watching Star Wars. For that hour or 2, or I take a day. And sometimes I will take a day. I will take an entire day and say, I'm not doing shit. I'm about to watch Star Wars. And I might throw on Clone Wars or Rebels or just watch all of one of the movies. Usually I can get about two trilogies in a day. But every great once in a while I just do that. I take a day and I immerse myself into what I love. And I love Star Wars, so I'll immerse it. I'll watch a whole, season of The Mandalorian or Andor or even a book of Boba Fett and Kenobi. I will just take out time and just, because for that amount of time, the rest of this world don't mean shit. It don't mean anything. Because it's not about the rest of the world. It's not even about me. It's just about watching Star Wars. That's it. And it's nice to be able to do that. It's really nice that we have, and it's really nice that we can thank George for creating this. George is not getting the recognition that he needs to get since Disney took this over. It's all about bitching about what Disney is or is not doing. But we got to remember, it all comes down to George created this in the beginning. Yeah, it's going different directions than what George really thought it was going to go, but hey, he sold the company. But it's still his baby, no matter how we look at it. We wouldn't have none of this if we didn't have the 6 original films and the Clone Wars. None of this other shit would be even any import. It wouldn't even be here. So we got to give a shout out to George. What audiobook are you gonna listen to? Lenny says, going driving and listening to an audiobook. What audiobook you gonna listen to? I want to know. Because I'm listening to, what the hell is the book that I'm listening to? The latest one about Leia and Han getting married. What's the name of that shit? This is one of those moments where my brain ain't working. Princess and the Scoundrel. I already listened to it once. I'm listening to it again, and I'm going to tell you guys, it's not the best book. It's kind of boring. And now that I'm like going over Brotherhood again on other podcasts, I listened to it once, and now I'm going over it on the other broadcasts. 21 episodes. 21 episodes and no action whatsoever. They're starting the Bane series again, and then Dr. Aphra. Dr. Aphra's, I wasn't the biggest fan of that. It was good, but it wasn't that great. Star Wars team leader says, I'm listening to The Courtship of Princess Leia. Have I listened to The Courtship of Princess Leia yet? I'm pretty sure I have. I don't know. I can't keep up with all. There's too many. I'm listening to The Princess and the Scoundrel right now, and it's kind of boring. This is the second time I listened to it. The first time I listened to it, I don't know. I don't think I was paying enough attention, so I said I'm going to listen to it again. Because I was like, man, that book was not good. And then I'm listening to it again, and I'm realizing, that book is not really all that good. It's just, they're boring. There's not enough intensity in Brotherhood or this book. Just not enough intensity to like make it interesting. And which sucks because I got to do the whole podcast on the Star Wars audio archive. We're doing it on Brotherhood, and like I think that everybody's just kind of getting bored with it because it's like nothing's happening. Also finished the Darth Vader series. Darth Vader series is good. Yeah. Somebody said that they were putting all the comics. They were going to do all the comics on audio, and so they were going to like do like 1 through whatever the Vader series. They was going to do them all in audio, so you could listen to like 1 through whatever it went up to. I can't remember what it went up to, but you could listen to all of them, and they were going to be like chapters, the entire comic books. So if they come out with that, that's going to be pretty dope. I know I need to get the new High Republic books. I don't know. I'm kind of worried about the High Republic books. Honestly, I really am. Because it sucks, because now I want to know what the hell these monsters and shit were, or whatever they were that are just killing the Jedi and they can't use the Force against whatever the hell they are. I really, really, really want to know what how they defeat them, and then they ended the phase 1. And I didn't ever get to find out what it was. Is there like a book that I'm not knowing about or something that explains these damn things? Because now we're going into phase 2, and it's in a whole different time period. It don't even have nothing to do with what was happening in phase 1. So I'm like, are y'all gonna go back and tell me what the hell happened? Because I'm invested now. I want to know what these things are. I want to know, like, I want to know the background details. And I'm kind of stuck not knowing. I'm just out there like, okay, what the hell is this? What the hell is going on? So that kind of sucks. I just wish there was more of I just wish they would have just kept it linear. Like, just keep going. Like, why are you going to stop in the middle of shit? Quit trying to be like George. George knew what he was doing. Everybody else don't freaking know. Y'all do this shit at the wrong time. Because what made it work for... The reason George could come out with the original trilogy, then come out with a prequel trilogy, the reason he could do that, because nobody knew that that's what he was doing. Like, nobody knew. And for these writers and these storytellers now, they're doing it, and everybody knows that they're going to do it. So it doesn't make it as interesting. It's like, dude, you can't go back now and like I already know what's going to happen. Like, just keep telling the story. Like, move on. And just don't, I don't know. I was reading an article, what was it? Monday. Was it Monday night? I think it was, yeah, it was Monday night. I was reading an article that the new movie that they're talking about is going to be prequel series, the one that, what's his name is writing. He's writing, and they got What's-Her-Face to direct it. Oh, what's the name of it? What's his name? Frick, I can't remember what his name is. David I can't. What the hell is his name? I forgot. David something. I'm pretty sure it's David something. Where's the movie? Some says some here has to say something about a movie. Where is it at? No movie. David Linduini or London. Oh man, what the hell's his name? I can't think of his name. I know it's David something. Damon Lindelof, the new movie that they're talking about. I guess that there's been some leaks saying that he is it's gonna be sequel trilogy era, like after the sequel trilogy is the movie that he's writing. So I'm like, dude, like, it's cool if you make something that after the sequel trilogy, but make it something that we want to know about. Like I said, the only movie that I wouldn't mind seeing have something that have to do like Poe. Say Poe goes in and now he's like trying to recruit for the Republic, the New Republic, space freaking pilots or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Or even, I wouldn't even mind Rey. If Rey is like going into the galaxy to try to fix all the crap that the Empire and then the First Order messed up. Like going, and now you got like a lot of like battles that's happening between like planets and stuff. They're fighting each other, and she has to go in and what's going on, J-Dog? I wouldn't mind doing that. You know, I wouldn't mind seeing that. If they wrote it out good, they made it action-packed and still got a good storyline, wouldn't mind seeing that. Everything else, like, do something new then. Like, The Mandalorian is old. You know, he's an old guy now. Boba Fett took over as the Mandalore, and they're rebuilding Mandalore or something like that. Something like that, I'm cool with. You know, make a whole new story. But I don't want to see. Don't just throw out some sequel era trilogy crap. Like, I don't care about. You know, a lot of people said make a movie about, you know, what happened between Luke and Kylo Ren. I don't care. Like, we know what happened. Luke was going to kill him because he felt like he was going to the dark side. You guys don't need to tell that story. It's not a story that needs to be told. Do some new stuff. You know, you can take off of a little bit, but do something new. Like, I don't want to know about stuff that we already know about. I don't want to do that. We're kind of doing that now. We got enough of that with Andor and, you know, the Mandalorian and stuff. We know they're filling in the gaps. Kenobi, they're filling in the gaps. We don't need to know what happened between, you know, Luke and Kylo Ren. That's. I don't think that's a movie. Should nobody make a movie about that? We'll probably get a movie about that, but I don't think we need it. All right, well, shit, man, we've been on here for an hour and 40 minutes. I didn't even realize we've been on here this long. I was kind of excited when they were talking about making Rogue Squadron. I wasn't a big fan of the books, you know. Not that they weren't good. I just wasn't a big fan of them. But like, I would like to see what happened with Wedge. Like, what does Wedge do? Like, did Wedge, you know? He had to recruit people. We know. We seen him in Mandalorian. We know he had to recruit people for the New Republic's Space Force and stuff like that. We know. Tell us more about the story. Like, I wouldn't even mind, and I'm not even a big fan of Dr. Alpha, but you could do some Dr. Alpha books, or you could do some, like, the cloning things, because we know that the cloning stuff is still happening because we see damn Palpatine. So we got Snoke. We know. Tell a story about what's going on with that. There's all kind of different stories that still would be linear with what stories we have now that they could do. What about a show of Luke's Academy as a whole? I wouldn't mind seeing that. I just don't think that they should base a whole story on what happened between Luke and, like, I wouldn't mind seeing, like, even if that's part of it, Luke and Kylo or Ben or Kylo Ren, whatever you want to call him. I wouldn't even mind if that was like part of the story and they showed the whole Jedi Temple and how he was going out and finding new people and bringing them in and, you know, all that stuff. And then all the way up to the point that Kylo Ren kills them all and Luke is sitting there like, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be a good story. I think that would be kind of cool. And we get to see all the little younglings get killed by Kylo Ren. That wouldn't be that bad. I think that would be kind of exciting if they told it the right way. Star Wars team leader said, do that as a Lego movie. You know, they could do that. I mean, either way that they do it, like, I don't think I would be too disappointed with any Star Wars that they came out with. It's still Star Wars. I'm going to watch it. But I just think some things is just like, they could really do that as like Tales of the Jedi or some type things. You know, short little episodes, give us a little bit of backstory, kind of give us, oh, okay, that's what happened. You know, that type of stuff. I don't think that they should make a whole movie off of, you know, certain things. I just think there's certain things that we kind of know. And they're not, like, I can understand why they made it off of Tales of the Jedi. I can understand why they showed us, you know, Dooku going in and changing the archives. Because it was always like a question, did Cypher Diaz do it? We kind of all assumed that he did it, but we didn't know for a fact that he did it. There wasn't nothing that was telling us for a fact that he was doing it. Now we find out that's what he did. He went in. It was Dooku that went in and changed it. Like I said, we all assumed that, but now we know for a fact. You know, but that's something that shorts can do. Something like, you know, Tales of the Jedi, them little short things. They can fill in them little gaps and just kind of give us in. I kind of thought that that's what happened. They can kind of fill in that for us. But I don't think that they need to spend a fucking $200 million budget on a movie to make a movie on shit that we already know. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I don't know. That's kind of what they're doing with Andor right now, and Andor's great. because we already know what it leads up to. And they're just filling in the gaps. But I don't know. It's kind of, like I said, I wasn't even a big fan of Andor coming out, and now to be one of my favorite shows. So it's like, I don't know. I don't know what they really should do. Because it might be great. They might come out with a movie about fucking Luke and Kylo Ren and what they went through and be one of the best movies of all time. Until I see it, I ain't gonna know. But I just personally think that it's a waste of time. They should create some new shit, make some Revan or some Darth Bane, or shit. Make a movie about Xana and get some fine actress to play her and you can watch her hack people up or something. I don't know. I'm sorry. I want to see a movie, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons I want to see Darth Revan, or just Revan, is because I want to see Vishian. I would love to see that as a movie. I would love to see him suck a planet dry of the Force. That shit would be dope. I would love to see that. Like him just do whatever Jedi. Because that's another thing that we don't see. We know that the Sith use Sith sorcery. We know this. Like everybody knows that there's Sith sorcery. I would love to see that in a movie. I would love to see some, Vishian, kind of all these different Sith, all these Dark Lords of the Sith, to do this thing and then suck a planet dry and it all goes into it and kills everything. That shit would be dope. That would be something worth watching. I would be really extremely want to watch that. Like, I want to see more, and and that's another thing. There's a rumor going around that they've already started shooting for the Acolyte. I talked about it on other podcasts. I seen it on Sunday on a news thing. I guess Bespin Bulletins put out a thing that they had somebody that said that they seen it. So it's still a rumor, but I guess they've started shooting over in UK. But I would love to see that. I would love to see a type of movie that had like some Sith, some Sith sorcery. Or even go back to like not Tales of a Jedi, but Dawn of the Jedi. Like, take us all the way back then when Jedi didn't even have freaking lightsabers. They were still using swords. You know what I'm saying? They still had like a sword master that like some old school, Chinese dude that just makes the dopest samurais ever. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be dope to see. I would love to see that. Like, and they still use the Force and they're trying to figure out everything and they're using balance, and dude, that would be a dope story to tell. Like, there's so many different directions that they could go. I still think that they should do the Yuzhong Wang. Like, now they just make Rey have to fight him. and the new Jedis that her new apprentice and shit like that. Like, that shit would be dope. Like, I'd like the Yuzhong Wang. I like that whole thing. I liked it. That shit was dope. Because you have Jedi that are so reliant on the Force, and you can't use the Force against them. Anything where you got people that can use the Force, that's why I like Cogniz. You got people that can use the Force fighting her, you know what I'm saying, fighting her, or fighting, you know what I'm saying, got people using the Force that's fighting Cogniz, and they can't use the Force against her. That's dope. You know what I'm saying? So now you got to figure out another way. That's why I liked about the Yuzhong Wang, because you can't use the Force against them. The Force don't work on them. Ain't no Force shove. I mean, you can use the Force. You can jump and do a backflip or whatever, but you can't. You try to do something to them, Force push or pick them up, or, you know what I'm saying, any of that shit. That shit don't work. Now you got to use actual ability. You got to use your mind. You got to think about things. You got to be, and anything, they got all them spores. And I don't know. There's just a lot of cool stuff that has to do in legacies or legends, and just in Star Wars in general, that they can make movies off of. They got like a plethora of shit. I mean, you got all the book, comics, all the stuff that's gone, man. There's just so much. Chris says a show about the great Jedi bounty hunter. What if that is ends up what Rey is like? She's like a good bounty hunter. Like she goes out and helps people. You know what I'm saying? Like she's a bounty hunter, but she goes after the really bad guys. Not like somebody that, oh, you owe Jabba the Hutt type. You know owe Jabba the Hutt 1,000 credits, so we got to come get you. But like she's like Dog the bounty hunter type thing, like going after real criminals. That would be kind of dope. I'd watch that. That would be kind of dope. They think that, oh man, this girl ain't gonna take me down, and she lightnings their ass because she can use the dark and the light side because she's the gray Jedi. That shit would be dope. I don't know. Like I said, there's all kind of things that they can do. It's just it's really exciting the avenues that they can take. I just hope that they take an avenue that we as fans we want to see, like, because sometimes, well, I don't know. Chris said. Chris says she's gonna catch you and then tell you about Space Jesus. Yeah, that would be funny. But see, that's the thing. If you think about it, if you really think about it, you got the movies and the TV shows that are a little bit more serious. You got Lego Star Wars that is funny. Like all the Lego Star Wars shit got a bunch of hilarious shit in there. Then you got you know what I'm saying, you got the cartoons that are a little bit more serious, but they got a lot of little they're more kid friendly and they're still good for adults to watch. There's so much stuff out there that they have for us, and it's a great time to be a Star Wars fan because they just coming out with more and more stuff. We got the Bad Batch coming here pretty soon. We got Ahsoka. We got Mandalorian season 3. Man, we just got a lot of stuff coming from Star Wars, and it's just really exciting. I mean, Lucasfilms is definitely pumping out some good stuff, and it's just it's just a great time to be a Star Wars fan. Because I remember going, from shit, there was a long time there wasn't no Star Wars. And if there was anything that had to do with Star Wars, it sucked. Star Wars team leader says, you bring the mother, then you can bring in the Sith tribes. Yep. There's all kind of, there's just so much stuff that I don't know, if I was in charge, I would, because it's not like I can understand like certain shit like being Luke's that type of Jedi stuff or the book stuff. You can't use that now because Ben is a solo now. So you can't bring in that. You can't bring in Jason and Jane, and you can't. There's certain things that you just would be super contradictory. But like the other stuff you could bring in, I mean, you could bring in, you could do Plagueis, you could do, the Revan, you can do, there's so much different stuff that they can use. Dawn of the Jedi stuff, the Here to the Empire, there's a lot of stuff, Bane. There's a lot of legend stuff that they can use to make movies or even TV shows or animated series. There's just so much stuff that they can do. There's really a lot of stuff that they can utilize in order to make great Star Wars content. And I don't know why I don't get the idea. Well, I know part of it is because they don't want to pay nobody. And if you start using characters and certain stuff and using people's books and things like that, then they have to pay royalties out. But come on, Disney, you got the money. I mean, you're like freaking one of the richest companies in the world. Like, hey, we want to use your book, we'll give you $1 million. Most of these damn writers will be like, shit, yeah. Only made $500,000 off of the damn book. And it's been out for 20 years. I'll take $1 million just for you guys to use some of the content. It ain't even got to be all of it, just some of it. I don't know. I think it would be very interesting. And that's what I would do. If I was running Disney or if I was running Lucasfilm, if I was Kathleen Kennedy, I'd be like, dude, we have a plethora. I mean, we have a mountain, just a ginormous mountain of raw information with the books and the comics and online stuff And because I've read some great stories online, like some awesome stories online that has been written by people. Like they just have so much information. All they got to do is tap into it. But they want to, and this is my thing. You want to pay a writer. Writer comes in, writes a movie. You want to pay him all this damn money, and you already got, how many Star Wars books is there? Over 300, I think. You have all these books that are already written. Like, just pay the person that already written, use the book. Bam, right there. You got a story. Like, and it didn't take you no time. So now you don't have to wait on anything. You ain't got to wait for this person to write this movie. Oh man, this book right here called Revan. Oh, this is a good story. Let's make a movie out of this. Boom, you don't even have to rewrite it. It's damn near written out in a movie form anyway. It has all the characters, has what they say, everything is already there. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do now is you just create the backgrounds, create whatever you got to create, the sets and all that stuff, and then boom, make the movie. Go to Norway, do the stuff that Clan Ordo is doing. You know, when they're find Mandalore's mask, you can do all that. I mean, go to the desert. That sounds like what, what's the, I can't think of what the Sith planet is called. My brain ain't working. But that's all you got to do. Yeah, Star Wars team leader, perfect example. Just put Timothy Zahn in the writing staff. That's all you got to do. Dude's still writing great books. You know what I'm saying? We got all these great writers writing Star Wars content. All you got to do is grab one of them. Hey, come write a movie for me. Korriban, yep, that's it, Chris. Was it Korriban? I don't think it's Korriban. Was it Korriban? No, I think it was another. It was an older. Wait a minute, what was it? Was it Korriban? I think you're right, Chris, but I don't know. I'm double checking. I know Korriban was the ancient world, but I'm trying to think in Revan book, Sith Empire, and I thought it was something else. Revan, Sith Empire. Where is it at? I hate when they, that's something I learned about the internet. You'll put in certain shit, and when you go to look, where did Revan meet? Where did Revan meet the Sith Emperor? Came to the world of Droman Cost. That's what it was. I know. I thought Morban or Korriban is the ancient Sith. That was like the first. Was like the first world. But Droman Cost was like one of the original, what was the original outer realm or outer rim world. It was out or in the dark space was where Droman Cost was at. Because that's where, after after the Sith Empire got pushed out of the Republic space, they were kind of just floating around. They really didn't have a planet. And then they ended up in Dromund Kaas, which was like another world that they had years before. All right, guys, we've been on here for 2 hours. We done talked about everything I think that we can talk about. I need to go eat some food. I'm starving. So I will see you guys on Saturday. Hopefully the fellas will be back and everything worked out. I got to hit up Garrison here in a minute and see what's going on with him and his car. Said something happened to his brakes. So we had no brakes to get home or drive home. And then, like I said, CJ, he has work stuff. He was working out of town on Wednesday, so he wasn't going to be able to be back. But we will see you guys this Saturday. Yeah. What was I going to say? I was going to say some shit. There's another thing about when you got MS brain, you forget what you're going to say right in the middle of what you were going to say. Shit, I don't know. Well, so I think that's it for today. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the bell notification button. You know, let people know how good the show is and if you like it. And leave us some of those funny comments. We always love to hear that shit. And until next time, remember, stay outrageous. And may the Force be with you always.
Thank you for tuning in to LSR. If you've enjoyed the show, consider subscribing so you can be notified when new episodes are released. If you would like to be a guest on the show or just want to give us some feedback, feel free to email us. You can also reach out to us on all major social media platforms. Lightsaber Radio is produced by PicFilm Media and is a Swaycast original, starring Garrison Turcotte, CJ Elliott, and Kyle McDaniel. And don't forget to join us next time for more adventures in a galaxy far, far away.